Hey everyone, this is Snark's Domain, and we're back at it again. How's it going, Shima? You're the first one to the stream, I think, today. Welcome aboard. I'm just, I'm cleaning out a container of some random mystery thermal paste, just so I can have a container to put the used TG6060 in. It's going to be hard to put it in that syringe, so just kind of cleaning it out, and then we'll get to tear down the card. You accidentally found my stream? Is this the first is this the first like content you're watching of mine, or have you watched some PTM stuff perhaps? That's nuts. Looking for information on the paste version of PTM 7950. I'd be happy to answer some questions that you might have. So definitely let me know, because I've got both the paste form and pad form on hand, as well as the paste form of PTM 7958, which is supposed to be the upgraded version that apparently Lenovo uses from factory in all their laptops. I shouldn't say all, I should say the modern gaming laptops. I don't know if it's in their like business level laptops without dedicated graphics cards. I mean, there wouldn't be maybe they still do. Hard to say for sure. Stuff's pretty this stuff's pretty messy. This is just like a random little jar of thermal paste that I thought might have been thermal putty when I started searching for alternatives, a couple years ago for a year and a half ago for TGPP10. That's just a few more little bits and then that'll be ready. Alright, Shima says, I want to apply PTM 7950 to my hot laptop, MSI. Okay, you got the GP76 with the RTX 3070 i7 11800H. Oh, sorry, I'll, and I don't mean to offend you, I'll talk slower. So, yeah, PTM, very good for CPU core and also GPU core, but better to get the sheet, the pad type. The paste type, difficult to apply, very, very thick, like molasses, very thick, and also if you use paste form PTM, then you have to wait 1 day, 24 hours for solvents like alcohol to evaporate from the paste, because it's supposed to be solid at room temperature. So if you can, try to find and buy the sheet kind. If you go to, let me just type the website for you. So go to Mod DIY. Have I tried the PTM 7956 SP? I think you mean 7958, but I have some. Haven't tested it yet. I'm going to test that hopefully soon. First, I plan to test thermal putties. Maybe 4 or 5 more days testing thermal putties, and then I test liquid metal and some thermal paste on CPU, and then I test the phase change, PTM 7958, PTM 7950, PCM1, and I think cryo sheet. So hey Jimmy, how's it going? Sorry, I thought your question was from Shima. Shima's from Russia, so I was kind of trying to use simplified English, which I kind of got used to from working in Saudi Arabia. No, Shima, thank you for information. Do you think there's difference between 0.2 millimeter and 0.25 for my laptop? Oh, sorry. No big difference. I would get whichever one is cheaper, as long as you know it's legitimate, unless you're willing to experiment and try one that is from an unknown trusted source. But they're both going to melt down like really thin. Let me see if I can find a picture. I'm just going to go to media here, and just bear with me. I'll see if I can. Okay, I'll find the photo first. You know what? I'm just going to add image. Okay, browse. Sorry guys, I'm just going to find a photo so I can have a better visual guide to show what I'm trying to talk about here. Phase change, materials, 2 video projects. Completed projects. Here we go. PCM 1 versus PTM. 1 second. Sorry guys. No, I can't find it. Brutal. I'm sorry. I'll try to find the picture at some point, but I can't find it right now. They'll both end up being the same thickness in the end, because it melts, so, and all the excess presses out, so not so important to you know what, I'm just gonna browse one more time. I think I have a photo that will okay, this is a PTM 7950. This might even be PCM1. The other side's okay. But see how it melts? It melts around the edges. So all of it presses out, becomes very, 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 very thin. I don't have a good side-by-side. Even on a cooler. Sorry, that's thermal paste. Not that one. This one. Okay, this cooler, between the heat pipes is little gaps. It's not perfect design, not very flat. And it still makes very thin layer. And as you can see, left side, the excess melts and presses out. So yeah, just get the thinnest one. Jimmy, thank you for your information. Jimmy, can't wait to see the 75958. Yeah, it's going to be good to test that. It'll be interesting to see, because it is supposed to be better than the 7950. And I can't see Lenovo putting the time and effort and expense of getting... Well, I assume that request came from Lenovo of making a custom version, and then they decided to market it after a certain amount of time. Perhaps there was probably some limited time agreement where they wouldn't sell it to competitors. That's usually how custom stuff works, is by limited time contracts like that. And so it has to be better than 7950, I think, but we'll see. But probably. It's just my gut instinct. Shima is asking, how can I support your channel? Do you need Russian currency rubles? Man, thanks for the offer. That'd be cool. But no, it's no worries. I am going to be setting up a like a thing for that people can donate if they want to. They don't have to. And I'm not, well, obviously they don't have to. But I'm not looking for like money from you guys. But if people want to say like thanks or whatever, that's cool too. And I'm also not looking for money from manufacturers either. I do accept samples of products. That's the one line I don't mind. I don't mind accepting free samples for like thermal pads and putties and pastes and shims, or stuff like that, because this is not how I make a living at all. I mean, I only have what, 700 and I shouldn't say only. I'm really appreciative of like how big this channel's already gotten, but this doesn't make money. It's cost me quite a bit, but I do have a good job, so I'm not really hurting for income. It'd be cool someday, if this somehow turned into something more than basically a hobby, but it doesn't have to. I'm okay if I just keep testing it. Okay. Oh, sorry. Wow. Sorry. I just pulled the card apart. I had that picture up there the whole time. I'm really sorry, guys. This stuff is TG6060. It's a stick gear putty, so it's got the stalactites and stalagmites, or stalactites and stalagmites of putty. That's not clay-like at all. So that's a sign of a sticky putty. These are good for products that flex, like mobile phones, Nintendo Switch. This would be probably a good thing if you needed to change the thermal pads for some reason. Stuff like that, so... Jimmy, that would make sense, yeah. Shima says, you have a pure American accent. Are you from the USA? What state do you live in? I actually live in Canada, Alberta, but I grew up in Ontario, of all places. I've never been to Russia yet. Maybe someday, who knows? I've got to travel a few different places in the world. Wow, really only two places where I actually performed work. It was Saudi Arabia and Scotland. But in my travels for work, we pass through other countries and sometimes have like layovers. So it's kind of cool. Get to see some sights on company dime, of all things, which is highly recommended. This putty is unnecessarily low viscosity. They could definitely... Hey, T-GLoabl, if you're listening to this or watching this at some point, this is your TG6060 thermal putty for automated application. You could probably... No, you don't have to increase the viscosity, but you could definitely add some fillers in, some thermally conductive fillers, maybe. I don't know what you guys are using in here, but maybe some more, whether it's aluminum oxide or something else. A little bit more would be good. Could bump up the performance just a touch. And again, maybe this is good for thin bond-lined applications like shims. Could be good. Jimmy, people want to see real tests. This channel will grow. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I feel like it is growing, and you know, even today, I think I got like 5 new subscribers. That's almost a 1%, not quite, but almost a 1% increase. And I've been doing this for a year and a half, so that's like 500 days. That's pretty good. Jimmy asks, I'm getting some PTM7958 in a few days for a CPU block application. To break it in, I'm going to turn off the pump and thermal throttle at 100 Celsius. Ooh, you don't need to go that high. I would go... My gut says just, if you want to do something like that, go maximum 80 Celsius. And I would almost keep the pump, well... I'm not an avid water cooling guy, so I don't know if there's like what risks are involved. I guess the pressure could increase if your water gets too hot. But I've had another user and subscriber comment that they're good. They've done lots of water stuff and they had good results. They did like a bit of a burn-in, but nothing crazy. They were doing 65, 70 degrees Celsius, and they still got like improved temps over time. And it improves for like a couple weeks at least, which is awesome. It's great stuff. I just don't like the paste version of it, having already tried to apply some. So hopefully they'll give us the sheet kind. Shima, sorry friend. Hey, no, you don't need to say sorry at all. You didn't offend me at all. No worries. I completely forgot about Canada. They also have the same accent. I know that you don't like Americans, and just like they don't like you. You know what? Actually, I have like no problem with any of the individuals that I've met. I think what happens is, and I don't know any Americans that like have it out for me. Maybe some like thermal putty competitors that don't have good products. Who knows? I think the media in general is just sort of like is loud, and I think most people are just relatively decent. It's the small minority of any people in any country that get all worked up and start hating each other and stuff. So yeah, we're good, man. We're good. I have some Russian thermal putty. I have KPT8, which to the best of my knowledge was developed and manufactured and made in Russia. So, and we've tested it on a hot plate. it's not super great performing, but yeah. All loop components are rated for at least 100 Celsius, and loop will be open for venting. Oh, okay, yes, yeah, perfect. Open for venting is the big thing. PTM is rated for 250. Oh yeah, the PTM has no issues with the temperature. I just I'd be cautious with the 100 with. I mean, I know processors are rated for that. They can go even a little bit higher than that, but I guess I would say you don't have to go super, super high. Then again, you are trying to do a concentrated burn-in and hoping probably to be below or around phase change temperatures later on. So maybe it's okay if you go like a little bit warmer, but I feel like just my gut says 100 is more than you would need to go to get ideal results. So this thermal putty, T-GLoabl TG6060, is very messy, very hard to clean up, kind of like some of the other putties. The A7000, that makes sense. Okay, this putty is made by T-GLoabl, A7000 made by T-GLoabl, both of them very messy, very hard to clean up. So Jimmy says, my theory was that higher temp, thinner bond line. I wouldn't say you'll get to the thinner bond line faster. There's a chart somewhere, I believe on the Honeywell website, that shows that while the phase change does start at 45 Celsius, the viscosity keeps going down a little bit. Now, it wasn't a smart chart where it actually showed, you know, a range of like degrees Celsius or anything like that. It was just like one of those simplified charts that had like temperature high, viscosity lower. It was a curved chart. So yeah, if you're getting it up to like 50, 60, 70 degrees Celsius, it's going to be more liquidy. So that's worthwhile trying, for sure. Shima, I'm going to bed 6:20 a.m. in Moscow. Good to subscribe to your channel. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming out tonight, Shima, and look forward to chatting with you in the future. And hopefully you like the content. But yeah, thanks so much for coming. You can also email me if you have any questions, snarks. Domain@gmail.com, listed on my YouTube channel. If you have any questions sometime, let me know. That goes for anyone that wants to chat about stuff. Okay, so we got some isopropyl alcohol. We are going to get to brushing because this stuff is messy. It works really well, that little brush. A little bit of ISO. It's good stuff. Guess it's a Sunday night too, so well, in North America, so lots of people have to go to work tomorrow. I mean, I'm on call, so I just have to wait for a phone call and then I go to work, but could happen anytime too. Usually makes it interesting when pick my phone here. Nothing so far. It's good. Getting close to being done. Just a little bit more. Me asks, do you work in the integrated circuit field? No, I work in a field that has like so little to do with computers. It's not even funny. I run downhole completion tools in natural gas and oil wells, geothermal wells. We've got, yeah, just like we're an oil tools company. Well, not we, but I work for one and have for 15 years. So when I say this is not my related to my income, it's like definitely not. Like most of my coworkers are nice guys, but they're not into computers the same way that I am. And yeah, which is fine. Everyone's got their... I'm not a sports guy. I don't watch a whole lot of sports. I kind of got the computer bug early on when I was in, well, just probably high school. I was kind of a outcast for a bit from my one group of friends that got into some stuff that I just said no to, and then I got a new group of friends in high school, and they're all pretty smart dudes, and most of them are engineers. I was thinking of going to school to become a mechanical engineer. I never did, but computers have always been a hobby of mine. First video card was ATI Radeon 8500 LE 64 gig card. No, 64 gig. 64 megabyte video card. And man, that thing ripped. It was awesome. Half-Life, Counter-Strike, Worms Armageddon, Moles. Wait, Moles was... Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's like just so many old games, but I've lost track of. But yeah, this is totally not my day job. Yeah, man, it's just so very different. The biggest thing I have to do specifically with computers for my job is like turn them off and turn them on again, and some Excel sheets. So I'm like half decent, or I guess I know how to learn new stuff on Excel by using Google, which I think is the main trick. is just being like willing to always, not always, but yeah, learn new stuff as you need to. I don't go out of my way to like learn stuff I don't need in the moment, because I think I've just accepted there's too much to learn, and I also need downtime to relax, so I don't mind taking a break sometimes. And okay, so we got that labeled just so I don't mix it up with anything else. I'm going to reshape putty. So this is my daily routine. Sorry, I'm just going to get these gloves on. These gloves are hard to get on. That's the one nice thing about those little finger rubber things, is that they're pretty easy. Maybe I just have the wrong size. These are supposed to be one size fits all. Oh man, I've got too many hobbies. This is the one I've been pouring a bunch of time into recently, but also got like reloading, lead casting, fishing, hunting a little bit. Although I haven't hunted really in a while. Well, gaming, of course. I play video games. And I just poured that out. I actually need some of that still. What else do? I make knife handles for, like I buy blades online and then I just make the handle out of resin stabilized wood. That was a fun little, and I'm like behind in making all the ones I'm supposed to make. I need to make like a, sorry, I need to make like 10 of those when I get a chance, because I've got people waiting for them. But yeah, Emu Clone, hey man, how's it going? Was able to make the stream today. Glad to be here. Thanks, man. Yeah, glad you could make it. You got to the part where we're just about to apply some putty, which is always exciting. Okay, let's shape up the TGPP10. Sorry, I'm just gonna, I'll do it this so you guys can see kind of my method. This white stuff here, 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 and here is TGPP10 that's probably, I don't know, a year and a half old. So I'm only changing just the putty on the VRAM for the test, and also the CPU paste. I put new stuff on each time. So I just have to use this little paddle or paste spreader to kind of press in from the sides, which squeezes it up, and that allows it to recompress when it's reassembled and make good contact. Now, it would probably be fine if I didn't do this, but I don't know that for sure. So as a precaution, I want to ensure that it has good contact. This is easy to do with TGPP10. It's slightly clay-like. It does, even though I didn't believe it at first, when I first started talking about putties, it does gradually harden over time. Now, I've only had one instance where it got solid. I still use it on that card in the solid form, and I haven't run into issues, but that's not saying much because I need to test that still. So I'm going to try bake some thermal putty if I can, and I'll try and make it like a solid piece that's maybe, you know, 1.5, 1.4, 1.5 millimeters thick and very flat. And then I'm going to use that like a shim and test it out on the card with fresh putty of the same kind on either side, and we're going to see if it still transfers heat well. Good to have hobbies and things to do. Yeah, that's true. Well, plus I have a daughter and a wife, so I've got all sorts of things that keep me busy. How many grams of Emu Clone says, or asks, how many grams of putty do you usually use per application? So I've been averaging for these tests. Initially, I was averaging around that 13 grams for most putties, and now I've been getting closer to the I'd say 15 to 20 grams each time, because I've had a couple tests where especially for the clay-like putties, where when I got it compressed, I didn't end up with like super like full coverage, and so I actually have to redo a couple of the tests, which are up on the chart denoted so that you guys know what's going on. What's the purpose of leaving the TGPP10 there permanently? Really mostly consistency in test methodology. If I change this putty to something that performs better or performs worse, it's going to change our results, I think, because it'll give access to the cooler for other heat sources more so than it would have had for other tests. So I kind of have to keep it consistent, and I do have enough TGPP10 on hand to continue to do this for a while. If I ever have to replace this stuff, which I'm not too worried about, I should be able to get through all of the testing I want to with this card in the next while. And so sorry for making that click noise. Jimmy's asking, would that be around 4 or 5 cc's worth for the 15-20 grams? So basically, the heaviest putty as a standard that I've been reading is 3.5 grams. So if you divide, let's see, calculator. If you divide, let's say, 20 divided by 3.5, yeah, 5.7 cc's. So even 5 would be, let's see, 5 times 3.5, 17. 5 cc's is lots. Yeah, I have to keep things the same and consistent across all tests. If I change anything, I basically have to start from scratch, and that is not appealing to me at all. So yeah, before we do the paste, I need to get this putty into this syringe, because consistency. And this is a very small, like 1/8 inch little nozzle. It's too small for my purposes. So we are going to already cut this one, and I've got some tools. So I'm going to just grab one thing, just one moment. All right, so here we go. We're going to cut some, let's see, this little thing comes off. And then I'm going to try and be very careful when I do this. Just getting thermal putty everywhere. I wonder why. Take the plunger out. So we're just going to go for full bore. That's what we did with the TG6060, and it worked really well. Also means I won't be able to reuse this as a container, but I will find some Tupperware or something. Interesting. You never know what consistency these things are going to come out as. So it's always interesting to find out. This is I'm just going to change to, we'll do it with the overview camera. If you guys can see that. This is a clay-like putty. So just get this first piece in here. There we go. And I'm going to put that in there. And we're going to try. So it's just slightly too small. I don't want to stab. We're going to use this. The back end of the iFixit is yes, this is, I'm already going to say, a similar clay-like consistency to Entrim TH949-1 or maybe Upsiren UX Pro, probably both. Just like somewhere in that range of clay-like. So we're going to try to make sure that we do a decent amount of compression during application or during reassembly. So I don't want to have to retest this one as well. Yeah, it's thick stuff. Does that mean this is going to be extremely good thermal conductor? Possibly. All of the clay-like ones that are this thick so far have done fairly well. So yeah, that's the old tube. And we're just going to get the plunger. Now the real trick is trying to get this so that the air goes out. So I usually like squeeze it and then compress it and do that a few times. To try and bunch it up. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's actually sticking to the plunger, which is what we want. And then now it's there's just a tiny little bit of air just around the edges of the syringe, but it's going to apply good now. And that'll probably just stay there for a while. So might actually press out. We'll find out. I'm just going to put a few things away. We're going to weigh this thing. This is a decent weight already, I can feel. Okay, so that's in grams. And we're going to start off with 128. And that's with the cap on. So we got that syringe ready. Let's get our Arctic MX4, which is not the highest performing paste in the world, but it is decent. And for consistency, we're going to just always be using it as well. So put a little dab in the middle, as we always do. It's a pretty big little dab, but it's gonna press out okay. All right, I'm gonna try and get a close-up video for you guys. Gonna work, hopefully. We're gonna switch to the close-up camera. I'm just gonna make sure you guys have enough. That was probably pretty bright, and I'll just do one little last pass on top of the VRAM just to make sure we get everything nice and cleaned up. Not that I think a very light film would affect it too much, but it could theoretically affect results ever so slightly. So clean them up as best we can so that they're happy little GDDR6X VRAM chips. They've been through a lot. They've had a tough life in this card. It's been padded, puttied, and shimmed many times. Lots of scrubbing. I've probably used, I don't know, at least hundreds upon hundreds of Q-tips on this card. Maybe over 1,000 Q-tips. But hard for me to say for sure, because I have not been counting. Have you guys been counting? It should be like a drinking game, where every time I use a Q-tip you got to take like a sip, but we're looking at like 30-40 Q-tips already today, so not just on this application. So I don't think you guys would be able to understand the results by the end of the testing, which, to be fair, we won't have these results until tomorrow morning sometime. So all right, hopefully we get a good close-up here of application. As usual, with the clay-like stuff, I have to apply it and then snip it off with a spreader. And with the clay-like ones like this thick, you might even need two hands. Looked over the current results, and I think the best performance of putty tested is a CX-H300. About a degree warmer on the VRAM than the UX Pro. But the hotspot in the test were a degree cooler. Would you agree? I would say you're only slowly lapping the memory modules with a Q-tip fill. So I need to retest all of them. Unfortunately, if you look back at the streams, not all of them, but the top 4 currently, if you look at the T-delta on the core for the UX Pro, you're going to see that it is, what, 20.8, I believe? Wow, this stuff is difficult. You know, the problem with this one this time is that I loaded the syringe all the way. With stuff this thick, I should have stopped and not loaded all of it at one time. It would have been better if I'd only loaded, say, that much there instead of the whole thing. Because these clay-like ones like to grab the sides of the syringe. So let's talk about the... I would say CX is a good performer. It has a similar consistency to U6 Pro. The colors are different. At least for me they are. Seeing them in person, I don't know if my camera picks up the color difference, but like the video cameras, I'm just using these Razer Kaio Pro cams for streaming. But we are going to redo some of the tests just to be sure that we confirm. So the core T delta for the UX Pro on the ETC hash test You can see it's that 20.8, I believe. And then we've got the next 2 or 3 in the chart are showing like 21 point something. And the UX I actually pressed down all the way, but didn't have full coverage of the UX Pro of the VRAM chips. And then I had full coverage for the U6, but had that like slightly hotter port, and same with the CX. So we're going to retest the top 4. It might change results, it might not. It almost doesn't matter. I mean, they're all good. They're all good putties. And you can go with whichever one you your heart desires, you know. It's hard for me to find a great source for CX. There's like one ad on Amazon I saw, and I might go that route. I might try some more from there. But on AliExpress, there's not tons of sellers that have like sold lots of sorry, I just need to get these finger socks on just to readjust these a little bit. There's not tons of sellers of the CX H1300 like I can find some other putties. So I don't know, it's just, and depends on price too. You kind of go with like whichever one you best bang for buck and access to it. Okay, I know I'm not supposed to use my hands on this stuff, but I am. Just so I ran out of finger socks I need to make a container of them all. So usually I've been with clay-like putties, I've been applying it to the cooler itself, but that might have been the reason why I had some of the contact issues. So what I did in this case is at the ends, I'm just pressing it down so it kind of like sticks to the edge a bit more. It should be sticky enough to hold, I'm hoping. And see, I just got to move this one a little bit. Looks like it's not quite center. Just judging by the overview cam. And let's go back to the close-up. Clay-like is actually not bad, and you don't need to use a syringe for it. You can definitely just have a container, get some gloves on, and like roll it, and then like, you know, chop it to length with one of these, and then, you know, pick up that piece and put it where you need, and it works great. So all right, that is the putty that we wanted to apply. Just gonna flip this card around here gently. Try not to stress the cables. Yeah, I think it makes sense to retest, and the results might not change tons. Hard for me to say. Like, I think the UX Pro, the VRAM might get a bit cooler, but maybe not by much. I don't know. But I do need to retest just to confirm. All of the applications have been acceptable performance-wise at the top end, and so I'm just doing a tilt test here. So I'm not worried about, in a normal scenario, it's not like I would actually take a card apart, see that there was like just a tiny bit. Like, I wouldn't even take a card if the thermals are good, and the thermals were good. But for testing purposes, I pretty much have to. Otherwise, we don't have results that we can fully trust. So I'm just going to get a flashlight going here on my one phone so that we can, so I can see. Oh, the focus is going to be messed up. I need to be able to see these screw holes here when I flip it, so that when I assemble it, it's like all lined up. look. Looks like it's in the right spot. So it's just kind of there on the VRAM. Turn my flashlight off. Okay, so I'm going to get the screws. We're just going to start the screws, and then we're going to apply pressure. See if we can get a good application of a clay-like putty. This stuff's really tough. This putty I'm testing right now, the LiPoly. Although that might be my judgment based on an overloaded syringe. You know, it's possible that it's like somewhat similar toughness and consistency to some of the other clay-like ones. So these 4 screws are always the most important to start right off the hop. Because if I don't, they might not be aligned. And then I start the spring screws, and then we're going to apply some compressive force. Yeah, that extra 0.1 degrees Celsius could mean an overclocking record, especially for air applications. I mean, can you imagine going up against, well, other air guys, but can you imagine just like guys that are on, not liquid nitrogen per se, but just like custom loops of, custom like water cooling loops, and coming in with like an air-cooled card with, I mean, a beefy radiator with a similar weight of the cooler and like 3 big fans on air, with just some like high-end thermal putty, and just being like neck and neck with them performance-wise would be, I don't know if that would be the case, but it's a cool idea. So, okay, I've got all the 8 screws here partially put in, and I'm going to apply downwards force to the cooler. It's fairly rigid here on the fan frame at these points, mostly these 2, but I'm going to apply a bit of force here and just try and help compress the putty, and then I will flip it back around and tighten the screws. I don't have a method yet. I'm going to work on one where I figure out how much weight it is and maybe get some like a couple phone books or something. I'm guessing 10 to 15 pounds will be, we'll see, but I gotta, so I'm just going to press down, try it again. So you guys can see putty's starting to form around the VRAM, and it looks pretty good. And we're going to do the star pattern. Emu Clone says, could eventually test different application methods similar to the debate of X versus P application. Yeah, totally. And it's funny you say that, because there is some like decent debate as far as methods of putty application already in different forums and groups and chats and stuff. So like some guys are like, oh, I like rolling balls of putty and then putting it on each component. And then I myself prefer the running a log or a strip of it down across a row of VRAM rather than individual balls. And I'm basing my preference on math that I'm using and theory that I'm using about that. I could be wrong, but that's one of the things I do for my job, actually, is calculate volumes and displacements. And that doesn't mean that this still doesn't mean I'm the right, but I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. Yeah, like in my mind, if you roll a ball and then press it down to actually have full coverage, of said VRAM. Well, as you press it down, it's going to spread out in a circle, which is fine. But if it actually truly gets full coverage, like, let's draw this out. I mean, the card's assembled. I'm just going to do one little last press. Let's draw this out here, because like this will clean off. So if we've got a VRAM, well, that's the worst drawing of VRAM ever. I'm sorry, guys. And you put a ball of putty in the middle, and you press it out, and you calculate how big. Well, first you can know the gap size of like 1.8 millimeters. But if you press it out so it's like fully covering the VRAM all the way to the corners, what's all this? It's extra putty. Now let's say you've got another VRAM here, and you got similar, right? That would have been like that. Now this excess is going to press out and bulge here. Now you have all this excess putty on either edge, and it's not a bad thing as long as you have good contact and compression, but it might be a waste for those that are not trying to use too much. Now this putty in between here, I'm willing to sacrifice that little bit here between each VRAM. And both of these methods are going to have stuff there because these are rectangular. Whereas a log, I can calculate volumetrically the gap thickness being 1.8. Oh my gosh, sorry, 1.8 millimeters by 15 millimeters. So what is that? Let's get the calculator here. 1.8 times 15. So we got 27 equals 27 millimeters of squared. Okay. But that's also, well, it's volume. And then we can do circumference. So let's just, as an example, only because I know this already, but 6 millimeter times 6 millimeter times 0.7854 equals, so we're going to calculate that out, 6 times 6, so we start off with 36 times 0.7854, and we have equals 27.27 millimeters squared, or millimeters per okay, I'll figure out the volumetric, but sorry, that's 28.27. I messed that up. So I have just a little bit excess, and that's why I've been doing the... Ooh, that light is way too bright for the math. And we're not really using like a whiteboard here. But that's the math that I rely on. So... Emu says, yeah, I prefer the log med. Jimmy, I think it's an awesome idea. I set an unofficial air record on the Q6700. Nice. It was running 4.2 gigahertz all core on an all air cooled setup. Would love to see an air cooled rig kill the charts. Yeah, like I first found out about thermal putty in the first place from, or maybe it's validity, from a post of a guy with a Radeon 7. I think he had a water block, and he applied TGPP10 to almost the entire thing and ended up getting some sort of world record for one of the categories for overclock. I don't know if it was like a 3D Mark score or if it was like probably just megahertz, because at that point, if you're going for like, well, I guess he would have had to prove it was stable. But yeah, so it's good stuff. And you know, TGPP10 was good and is good. It's just and for a while that was the only putty that most people knew about, other than what I would say was probably K5 Pro also had decent exposure in the market. But man, thank goodness that we can't buy TGPP10 specifically anymore, and that we can get hunting for other alternatives, and we've found some great ones. So yeah, it's been cool. A little more thermal mass, definitely. Yeah, and that's what the guy with Radeon 7 said, is that between his water block and the PCB, he basically covered the entire thing. So it was like putty everywhere. Now, I don't know if that's a great idea, but that's what he did, and he achieved good results. So can't really argue with him on that. I'll have to see where my chat is from that guy. I think I messaged him back and forth a couple times, so regarding putty, which is pretty cool. Jimmy says you could roll 2 small cylinders of the same clay putty, do an X from corner to corner. Oh, like on the VRAM or the CPU. You could. I mean, that'd be cool. It would be a lot of work, and I've seen people spend a lot of time and put a lot of work into putty applications. I saw one guy basically make like the perfect little pyramids on every single component, and it was pretty cool to see. It's not something that I personally, that's not my go-to method, and I do like having excess a little bit around chips, but it was kind of neat. Just a bit pricey, only working with setting records. Yeah. Well, and there's probably some components that might not benefit as much from and maybe dump excess heat onto the cooler. Like, there's probably diminishing gains at a certain point where if you've got something that's really hot, that's meant to run hot, you don't want that saturating your cooler when you're trying to cool your VRAM and other things you're trying to push a lot more. So, yeah. Just gonna give this card a light scrub. She's a dirty girl. Fun times. Alright, let's yeah, man, this guy sent me pictures of these like perfectly little pyramids, and it was just so impressive to see something so well and neatly done. I was definitely impressed. It was cool. Again, I'd go for the logs, but that's me, and then, you know, to each their own. I think that's the important thing. You know, so many people disagree about stuff all the time, but like, can't we all just get along? Yeah, let's get some more sinks on this, eh? Let's put on the good old trusty RAM sinks. Yeah, that'll teach him. Boom, boom, boom. That'd be awesome, eh? I fixed a 3090 that way. We're not actually going to put those on. That would not be... It wouldn't fit on my test rig, actually. Well, it would just kind of block the cable. But I had a buddy with a 3090. He was mining. And his card was like, well, 3090s are brutal on the back plate with no active cooling. And 12 GDDR6X running at pretty fast speeds, overclock too. And to fix it, because he was a little bit wary of me opening the card initially. And like totally understandable at the time. So I was like, hey, is it all right if I put a bunch of these on around the 12 VRAM chips on the back plate? It was a 3090, and so we did that, and I had a 120 mil fan blowing on it, and that cooled it awesome, and we kept it, I think it was in the mid to high 90s, but like that was an acceptable temperature back then. So yeah, 100% diminishing returns is like water cooling RAM. But you know what's funny about water cooling RAM? We're gonna get back into that at some point with this DDR5 running so hot. Like there's like some pretty good power density going through there. Jimmy, regarding the overclocking, it's often worth it to cool the capacitors since they're running current levels they may not have been designed for. Totally. And You know, I guess we're not really... I could totally... Interesting. If I was going for world records, let's see if I can prop this up here a little bit. And we're going to get this close-up cam. And we're going to see... to think about this for a second before I move. So there's just like a slight gap. I know that sucks. My videography is brutal, but that little strip of aluminum fins, I assume they're aluminum. They must be, yeah. I could put some putty if I was like not for testing, but a different card, right? Or if this card, if I'm ever trying to go for like world records, maybe I would do that. Be interesting for sure. To the overview. So yeah, that's it for this card. With the what we've now got is the LiPoly SH-putty3. So I'm gonna go plan to get this on the test bench. I'm trying to think, do you guys have any questions at all or anything you guys want to see in the last few minutes? I should probably mention that, like, I'm willing to do, like, I don't know, if people think of questions or have something they want to see at the end, we could always leave some of that stuff and then I could be talking about that. I also don't mind answering questions throughout the stream. But, yeah, if you guys want me to, like, grab a putty and see what it feels like or how it spreads or anything, like, different like that, or pastes, we could play with some liquid metal. We could play with TG100 for a bit if you guys wanted to. Yeah, just let me know. And if not, no worries, and we can end this stream and I'll just get this on the test bench. I'll probably review the footage a little bit and then I'll throw the results for the TG6060 up in the charts and you guys can look for those to be updated. So yeah, it doesn't look like any questions or requests are coming in, so yeah, I think we'll end it here for tonight. And as long as I am not working tomorrow, I'll probably apply another putty. I'll put a poll up to see which one you guys want me to do next of the ones remaining, and we'll go from there. So thanks for stopping by tonight. This is Snark's Domain. Oh, we got one question, sorry. Clone Thimerl Grizzly came out with Conductonaut Extreme recently and no one's tested it yet, but they claimed 30%. 30% over Conductonaut? Yeah, I have to get some of that now. I'll definitely look into sourcing some of that, and I'll make sure I include that in the testing, because there's at that top sorry, at the top end, people are definitely going for pure performance. It almost doesn't matter what budget is at that point, and you don't really need much of it anyway. So okay, you guys have a great night, and look forward to chatting with you again sometime tomorrow. So have a good one.